Hello. Okay.
That was a that was something.
That was a shit show.
That,
That was like,
that was a mess. I loved it though. I prefer a mess.
I
I
mean,
don't
yeah.
think a well-run show is
Sorry, go
for
ahead.
anyone. I don't think anyone wants to see like a well-oiled machine.
I
It's not
mean,
really
we're not
that.
it's here.
I would
We're
read a
not.
book if I wanted to do that. I would go like. That's not. I'm not here for.
That's not
I'm
the
not here for
format.
that. No, I want goofs. I want gaffs. I want laughs. All the
Exactly.
goods.
Exactly. No, I think it's Eyal is not here, so we're struggling, but we're doing our best basically. So what's up, Mark?
I'm hanging out. It's what is it? It's 2:30. It's 2:38 p.m. here, and I've had coffee and I ate cake today. So I
Okay.
feel like shit right now. That's what I'm doing. But
And
I'm still
after
excited
that,
to do.
after that,
Yeah,
you're gonna have some lunch.
uh, maybe more cake. I'm just kidding. I'll try to. I made ropa vieja yesterday, which I don't know if you had that, but it's very good.
Mm-mm. What's that?
Uh, it's like I think it's a Cuban dish. It's like a stewed meat with it's like tomatoey and
Mm.
spices.
And you
And
haven't
yet I
eaten.
ate cake today. That's what I've eaten. I have that. I have that ready, and I ate cake instead. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay. So, you want to walk us through the last 2 weeks of new stuff and drama happening in the Winglang world?
I can do the first part. I'm
Okay,
not.
no
I
drama,
don't
no
know which
drama.
drama. Is
We're
there a
not, we're not,
drama
we're
thing?
not relicensing Winglang as no.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we won't talk about that
Okay,
now.
so go ahead.
Yeah, I have it shared. It's ready to
Oh, wait a
download.
minute.
There we go.
There we go.
There it is. So even though I feel crappy, I'm ready to do this. I'm excited. Uh, Same format as last time because why not? I already did all that work. I'm going to reuse it. I'm not sure what I'll do it again though. I might try something else fun next time. Unless I don't feel like it,
You
in
should.
which case I won't.
Have you published it? It should be like open somewhere.
I should. I have not. But I will. Donna's already asked me to do it. And it's a good idea, especially with this. You can even publish it as a site too. Like it can be even in the
I love
docs or
it.
blog or something.
I love it.
But yeah, here's the next entry since the last Wingly, except for the first one, which I actually want to call out a change from Marcha that was in. It was technically in last time, but I just didn't see it. I mean, I knew it was changed. I didn't mention it. But I definitely want to call it out that we now have variadic arguments, so both like the support for declaring it and consuming it within the language, and that was a really super important feature. Added by
And also
Marcha.
importing JSI libraries that use variadic.
Oh, you
Yeah.
caught me.
Oh,
Uh, yeah. The reason I remembered it is because I was like, oh yeah, Chris added this, but wait a minute, I never mentioned that we added support for it in the base language itself. So yeah, now it's also consumable from JSI libraries, which I feel like this might have been the last thing that made like JSI libraries were pretty widely usable, but I think this might have been the last thing that was like a blocker for some people in terms of some aspects of it. I may be wrong, but I think that
yeah,
might be it.
yeah.
Which is
I can't
exciting.
think. I can't think of other missing. So basically, now we support full support for JSI libraries,
Yeah,
unless discovered otherwise.
unless we don't. We do unless we don't. Please file an issue. Contributions welcome. So yeah, we got those in. Super big deal. For some other changes, mutArray had some additional APIs added. One from Ananthu is set, so being able to I had to go to this to like if you have an array and you want to change one of the values, you can take the index and the value and change what value that is in the array.
I love the meaningful example.
Right? Isn't that great?
And also, I love that you're using deep equals.
Yeah, I think that was mentioned in the last.
I know, no, but it's like I really love this feature. I don't know why. There's something about me that kind of like always resented the fact that it equals doesn't work like you would expect it to work, right? Like it's like,
yeah, I get what you mean. It's like, oh, it just doesn't yeah, I feel you. So it is nice. It's nice that I was able to. I wrote this, and I'm like, that's how it works. Like it kind of they're equal, right? So they're
exactly.
equal. They look the same. I mean, of course, there's more nuance to it, but like they're equal, right? They're equal. Here you go.
Yeah.
So let's get out of here.
Hey, Weeping Clown 13.
Oh yeah, that's I should ask people what name they want to put on here because Weeping Clown 13 is an Antu.
Oh, hey, Anantu. Okay,
I believe it's him. Anyway, so but the next one
well, now
also
we blew his cover basically.
Yeah, I also should have asked if he wants me to blow his cover. Whoops. Next up was a change from Gary, who does not have an image on Slack or GitHub. So I gave him one. You can let me know if that's an issue. And he added insert, which similar example. Just we want to insert in the tooth position.
The tooth position.
Which is better than the second because it's 0, 1 tooth.
Right.
So
it's zero base. You can't use the second with 0 base.
Exactly. So it's the tooth. These are the kind of APIs where it's like, oh yeah, you need to be able to do that for mutable arrays. It's kind of like a.
Can you add like multiple items?
I don't believe this is variadic, but we have variadic argument support, so it could be.
How did you say that open issue file bug contributions are welcome?
Created issue contributions welcome. The slogan of a open source maintainer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, big one, super big stuff. So JSON, as people may or may not know, JSON objects in Wing are kind of like they're not statically typed, but the only constraint on them is that they're a JSON compatible data structure. So it could be anything from a number to a dense object. And we had no way of, without you writing yourself, like something to convert from a dynamic JSON to a struct where the type is known, even though it should be possible. So Hassan added the from JSON method, static method to structs that will take JSON and convert it with proper checking into the struct at runtime. This includes, errors as well in the case where it's like age should be a number, and if it's given as a string, you get validation at runtime. It doesn't just explode; it gives you a proper error, like you might get from a validation library.
Basically, a JSON schema checking error.
Exactly. So this is pretty huge. I wanted to fit better examples, but I wanted to also be short. But I mean, this is like crazy common to get data from an API, and you're like, I'm pretty sure I know what the type is, but I don't want to just be stupid and assume it's a certain thing, and I want the validation layer in there. So extremely common use case that's super important to have.
Yeah.
No Definitely. Words for it other than this is important. I think.
Yeah. It's like I think not that I think I'm really excited about this. I think like that's it's kind of like we've talked about it originally, but this is now we actually have that implemented. It's kind of like an area in Wing that's like cloud oriented in a way, but not in the in-flight sense, right? Like it's basically this is stuff that we constantly do in the cloud, and we want to be able to have the language, intimately familiar with this with this process. So I'm super excited, and as I said, there's basically a JSON schema behind it, and so there's going to be, I don't know that that's implemented already, but there's going to be person.schema, which will basically return a JSON schema.
Yeah, I don't know if it's implemented either, but I mean the architecture's there for it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can like use it to generate API specifications, and so think about generating API specifications using Wing structs. So basically just specify the struct So I'm super excited by this.
Yeah, for sure. Same for me. The next one looks related, but is not. So a change. I made this change, but I didn't want to put my picture on there because it's weird to do that.
I
But
mean,
I
it's
did do this.
already on screen.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. My face in the corner. So the big change here was, and here's an example of like a situation you might run to that you hate yourself because you're trying to write all this code, and then partially this looks bad because we don't have like type aliasing or anything, so you have to keep writing out that. But even if we did, there's still types like oh wow, this is great that this pops up every time. So that's still there. So why can't my compiler do that? Oops. Why can't my compiler do that for me?
Oh, nice.
Do the proper flip. There you go.
Nice.
So now the compiler can. I'm gonna use the word infer, but it's the compiler can figure out like, okay, this, even though this looks like a JSON object, it's actually a struct. It's being used as one, and we can know that the types in it are correct. That's why I kind of said implicit struct construction or JSON casting. This technically works even if your JSON is declared outside of this block. But I think this is the primary use case that we care about for that you would actually very commonly run into in many JSI libraries with any sort of nesting.
And I think the fact that it works outside of this block makes it like, I remember when you talked about implementing it, I didn't realize that this is the use case that you were thinking about, right? Like if I have a JSON thing and then I just put it inside. Is that there's an example? No, like
no, I don't have an example.
Yeah. So the fact that it's actually doing static structural type comparison, right, between the two.
Yeah, I found it to be a robust solution, even though this is the actual problem I was trying to solve. Like this was the whole goal. But
yeah,
turns out
initially I was like, I wasn't sure that would be my. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure if that's the right solution, but I feel like that we will really like this capability eventually.
Yeah, to me, there is something to be said about like the place that JSON and struct and like objects have in Wing. Like maybe there's even some more mushing together. There was talk in the implementation of this. I think Chris brought it up that like a JSON literal and a struct literal are like the same. Like and a map. I mean, the syntax is different, but like they're all objects. So it's there's some maybe I don't know. There's something there.
Tighter relationships, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So that's that change.
You know where we know where I use it the most for returning a result from an API callback.
Exactly, it works there as well. I was going to put that example here, but I'd like the effect of all the text disappearing of the Kubernetes stuff. But yes, it works also for returns, even so it doesn't have to be within like a nesting. It can be anywhere where you're taking a JSON and trying to use it like a struct, basically. So next up, I wanted to call out first contribution from Akil to add an API to Bucket called AddFile, which I think it was like one of the, and I can remember from when I use CDK, that was like probably the main way I interacted with it from what I didn't know was called pre-flight back then.
Nobody knew.
It was pre-flight, but I didn't know that existed because it didn't. But it's one of the more common use cases, and now we have it as available as an API bucket as
Beautiful.
well.
And there's this interesting thing here. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that the path to the file is relative to the Wing file.
I actually don't know. I know there's ongoing discussion about this, I believe.
Yeah. There's this thing in Wing that I want us to support, which is that APIs can basically add an option that Wing injects transparently into the API that gives the API context about the source file, right? Like who called it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can implement something like that, right? And so now we have like a baby version of that. I don't know if you're familiar with this environment variable of like the entry point directory that we.
I believe I added that, and I actually
Okay.
kind of but it's caused
Oh, yeah.
problems.
It is a
It's caused quite a few problems, and
I know, because we've never really finished the project. I feel like we need to like add more built-in support for something like that, and then it's going to be really powerful.
yeah, especially now with it was okay when there weren't
Right.
multiple entry points.
Correct.
It was added for extern,
Correct.
and now it's no bueno.
Oh, it was added for extern. I thought it was added for a website. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no,
It's also used by the website API.
Yep.
Anyway, we'll solve it. It's
We'll figure it out. Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
it's actually something that's really missing in in JavaScript, for example. You can't design APIs like that. You can't design APIs that take relative paths to the consumer, right? The code that consumes the API.
Not reliably, yeah. I mean, it's JavaScript,
You
so you can kind of do
look at
whatever.
the stack trace. You can look at the
Yeah,
stack.
exactly. Okay, so last on the list, I always seem to end with VS Code VS Code console stuff, and I always struggle because I'm like, how is it's like perfect already? Like everything's so beautiful and amazing, and it keeps getting better every time. And I'm gonna say it every time, I think. But anyway, the feature added by Poll was so I think last time I talked about that now the console's pretty tightly integrated. It's into VS Code rather than kind of just being like a separate thing. It's in there. And an additional enhancement to that is now whenever you choose a theme, the color scheme within the console matches that scheme, not just light mode, dark mode.
Nope.
Which is good. That was good enough.
Right. I was like,
that's what I was like. That's fine. Now it was like, oh shit. Now it's literally the entire like palette matches.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
That's nuts.
It looks
Bring
great.
your own theme to the console.
It is amazing. I have to say, it's like top notch.
And there's a PR open for another console change, and like I can't wait to say the exact same thing about that change in 2 weeks. It keeps going.
No hints.
No, because I forgot, but I was amazed when I saw it.
Like, remove dot from title.
it's something that crazy.
Yeah.
And that's the changelog.
That's a wrap.